talk to y'all for a little bit. Um, with some somber, tough news. The Outlawz member, rapper Young Noble, um, has he's no longer here anymore. He has um, unalived himself at age 47. So that's tough news to get on July 4th for me. Being as big of a hip hop fan as I am, um, this one hits terribly hard, y'all. This is a really, really tough pill to swallow. Like, just death in general, death of loved ones, friends, and the family. It's tough to take. But when you have those uh, rappers, athletes that you kind of grew up with in a way, um, not literally, but figuratively, you grow up with them, um, and you come to know them very well through the music or whatever art that they share, whether it's sports, whatever the case may be. It's just a tough one to take. Um, when I look at Young Noble, I look at his music and how helpful some of it was. Like, this guy was full of life. This guy had been through so much. Matter of fact, 2001, he had serious health issues. He had overcame a heart attack. So just 4 years ago, it's crazy how obviously time flies, but how things transpire, while they are flying. And to overcome that and to grow up through the struggle and so much pain, stress, and strife, and to be able to talk about it, you just wish he would have been able to get this out in art form, in musical art form. You wish he would have been able to talk about it, rap about it, something. Like this one is tough. So it goes on to say here, Young Noble, he joined the Outlawz group in 1996. And I don't have to read this to know this. He was the last Outlaw member to join the group. It was Tupac, Castro, Edie, Hussein Fatal, Napoleon. Where does he go? He goes by Mutai. Who else? And then Young Noble himself, Edie Amin, Castro. Yeah, and then Storm as well. So yeah, this is tough for hip hop fans, real hip hop fans. This one is a tough one to take. I mean, he was never as big of a solo act as he was when he was in the group. What's going on, everybody? Salute to y'all. He wasn't as big of a solo act, but if you knew hip hop, if you enjoyed listening to hip hop, and you listen to Young Noble, even if you just listen to the Outlaw albums with just him, Edie, Castro, and then later it was just Edie Amin, and Castro. I mean, not Castro, and Young Noble. They did like maybe 4 or 5 Outlaw albums. They handled it by themselves. They kept the Outlaw name alive because obviously Tupac died in 1996. We all know that. And then also, if you look at the fact that Yaki Gaddafi has passed on, Big Sight died of natural causes at like, I think Big Sight was only like 45. I think, let's see. I'm gonna try to Google it real quick. Big Sight was only like 45 and they say he died of natural causes. So the Outlawz have been hit by some really tough times. Like, we gotta protect Idi Amin, Castro, Storm at all costs. See, okay, Big Sight was 48. He was 48 years old. Let's see. Look here, y'all. Let's see. Big Sight, friend and collaborator of Tupac Shakur, died at age 48. Now, obviously, this wasn't recent. He died, well, you could say fairly recent. 2016, December 5th, when Big Sight died. Big Sight was very underrated. Picture of Big Sight. I think he went by Mussolini in the group. Yeah, he did. So they say he was only 48. So that's kind of tough, right? To be 48 and die of natural causes. I mean, it could happen. We not here for a long time. We here for a good time. So, you can't ever really pinpoint how it's going to be somebody's time to go. We all are here for a short time. But I think the toughest thing is that you wish that Young Noble would have been able to beat this, guys. You wish he would have been able to fight press and hold on, because mental illness, we all know it's a real thing. It's really a real thing that people are battling, and sometimes it be those individuals. Let me see if I can pull young no boy. So it be those individuals that you think they can handle everything and anything, and they just can't. But you think that they can. You think that they can. So let's show you guys a picture of Young Noble. Again, R.I.P. Young Noble. The weirdest thing of all is that let me see, I'm trying to, okay, so weirdest thing of all, guys, is we share the same last name, so we do have that. So Rufus Cooper, born 1978, and now they finally updated Wikipedia, because they had said that he was alive. They had him alive for hours, because I can't. Everything I read was telling me that, like, I read a few articles, like one or two, they said that he was alive, but you can't trust the articles. A couple of YouTubers said he passed on, but you can't trust every YouTuber. You just don't know, like, who's trolling. You don't know what's real anymore. We just never know. And I think for me, the confirmation was Edie posted it on social media, and I said, "Yo, it's got to be really real. It's got to be really real now." So let's see here. Um, they finally put it up that he died July 4th, 2025. So this is rough. 29. That's a long time to be in a rap gang, ladies and gentlemen. That's a long time. 1996, 2025. So he's the last member to join, Tupac, allow him to embrace the Outlawz culture, rap with his guys. And it's tough because, Young Noble had an interview 2024 on I think it was Art of Dialogue, and he was talking about how possibly he wished he would have done something else, because he didn't expect, think for life to be as wild as it was. Working with, the artists that he did, and watching Biggie die, and watching Tupac die. He never expected that to go down. So they also list his studio albums here. Studio album, I think he has more than what they have listed. Um, I can't check right now, but I feel like he has more. I thought Son of God was pretty good. Powerful was really deep. I don't really remember Third Eye View. He definitely had a few collaboration albums with, like, Lazy Bone. He had the collaborative efforts that he did with Edie. I mean, Noble Justice. You know, was okay. It was okay solo album. It had a few cuts. But mostly for me, my favorite stuff he did was part of the Outlaws. So yeah, this is just a tough pill to digest. He had a few songs. Some of them was really, really helpful to me. And I'm gonna look here and see if I can look on these track lists and see if I could point him out. Again, all of his music, I feel like they didn't put it out. They didn't release it all. But yeah, this is a tough one, guys. This is a tough pill to swallow. Um, when you study hip hop, when you embrace hip hop and listen to it as long as I have, it's just very difficult to just hear these kind of things, process them, and be okay with them. It's just, we don't really have a lot of real lyricism left from the 90s and early 2000s. Like, a lot of hip hop has obviously changed and evolved, and it's going to do so. But yeah, so he's from that type of time. I don't know, we had a connection issue for a second, but yeah, he's from that time period. It's kind of crazy because I want to see his full catalog on display, because there's a song by him that I really love, and I would like to recommend it to you guys if I could find it. I'm just curious, because if I go to check my phone, I could possibly get knocked off. Oh, here, I think I found it. Let's see. So let me flip the camera and show y'all real quick. Again, rest in peace to Rufus Young Noble Outlaw Cooper. So I think we're gonna check Positive Vibes, but it also could be on Outlaw University. Like I said, Wikipedia didn't show his full catalog. Um, this is just crazy, y'all. This is just crazy. Again, mental health. People think that everybody can deal with stuff. Everybody can't deal with everything. Maybe it's not this one. Everybody, some people really need to be checked on, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Show me a track list. That ain't it. Okay, yeah. Oh, could it be this one? Obviously, I don't want to get hit with any copyrights because I'm not really gonna play it, but I wanted to. You know what it's called? It's called. There it is. Feel About You. That's what it's called. So let's quickly go to YouTube really fast. And let's just you know play like maybe 5 seconds of it. A couple of people are talking about it now. As you can, Young Noble passed away. It's starting to get out there. It's starting to reach more people. Like I haven't seen too many people talking about it, but it is starting to get out there a little bit, So let's see here. Um, he made a lot of songs. He touched on life, pain, the life, the loss, keeping the memory of Tupac alive. I'm not gonna play very long. Even Willie D, a bigger YouTuber, former rapper himself, formerly of the Ghetto Boys, just talked about it. So it's truly official, which I knew it was when I saw it on Edie's social media post. I knew it was. That was my confirmation right there. Damn, man, it's tough, y'all. I mean, it's really tough. Yeah, it's difficult. So let's play just a clip of it. Let's just play a little bit.
Are you ready to stop guessing and to start growing?
I'm not gonna play very long because I want to get. Actually, what I could do. Let me see. We actually could do. Oh yeah. Now I can't seem to find it, but let's see. Yeah, this is my favorite. This is my favorite song by Young Noble. Yeah, I just want to tell you how I feel about you. Yeah, y'all definitely got to get at it. Check that out. Let's hear. Look, that's the hook. Let's hear some of the verse real quick. Yeah, I just want to tell you how I feel about you. Just to keep it real, still trauma from my past that I'm still trying to heal. Yeah. Still some pain in my heart that won't allow me to feel all the love that I should, and I hope it's understood that one thing that helped me cope. Yeah, I really wish I could play the whole song, but I can't do that. But yeah, this is a tough loss to take for hip hop. Some hip hop fans, obviously, if you're a new hip hop fan, if you're a newer fan of hip hop, you probably gonna be like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. But I always say, learn the history of hip hop. Learn the intricacies of hip hop. Learn what others aren't willing to. Study when there's groups. Check out the group. See if any of the group members got a solo album. Do the investigation like the Saint Lunatics. Can you name them all? Junior Mafia. Can you name them all? Face Mob. Can you name all the members? Who else? NWA, which should be more obvious. Can you name all the members of these factions? The Wu-Tang Clans again, the NWAs, the Outlawz, the Ghetto Boy. Can you name everybody? The Saint Lunatics, Junior Mafias. Can you name everyone? That because nowadays clicks ain't really as big as they used to be in hip hop. Oh, you miss Pop? Yeah, I definitely miss Pop. Definitely miss Tupac. It's really tough because it's like you're missing so many people from the group now. And again, that breaking news is that Young Noble passed from the Outlawz. You know, he unalived himself. I even hate to say it. I feel like not that kind of Outlawz with a Z. I just feel like it's so tough because, you know, you never know where somebody is at mentally, and you never knew, you know, if he could have been saved, but maybe he just was in a bad place mentally and just couldn't find a way out of it. And you know, we all get weak sometimes. Everybody ain't gonna express it though, you know. And the thing about when you take yourself out, sometimes it's a thing of seclusion. You know, it's a private thing, and you don't want to talk to people because you feel like nobody gonna understand. And you might feel like everybody's done with you, and you might feel like your kids don't understand. You might feel like your significant other don't understand you. You might feel like your mom, your father don't understand. You might even feel like if you're a churchgoer, you might not even feel like the pastor understands you. You know, you get to a point, you hope you never get to this point. You feel like it's a point where God don't understand, and you feel like you lost in the world, and then you just feel like your only option is to just, you don't want to go, you don't want to leave, but you want the pain to stop. You don't want to leave the world before your time, but you want the pain, whatever you're going through, you want it to cease. And it's just something where you need someone to intercept what you're going through, but you also have to be willing to reach out. And it's just so tough because you got to reach out, but yet you got to have somebody try to, you know, keep you from going off the edge too. So, you know, you look at it, Outlaw past members, Tupac Shakur, 1996, the biggest member of the group, right? Then you look at the Outlawz, you know, I think that is Castro, if I'm not mistaken. Then you look at Big Sight, you know, Big Sight, gone, said 2016. Mopreme, he's still alive. Mopreme, I forget his relation to Tupac. I can't remember. Step brother? I think so. 1996, but Mopreme is still alive. Hussein Fatal until his death. Was it 2015? Young Noble just passed. Idi Amin still alive. Castro, thankfully still alive. Edie still alive. Napoleon, thankfully still alive. I'm glad every day Napoleon left this wild, wicked industry behind. Storm, as far as I know, still alive. Thankfully. Nutso, I know of him in a few raps, but I never really heard of Nutso except for a few songs. So yeah, I mean it's tough, guys. You know, you show a picture of Pac's not listed in that picture, but you see the Outlawz, and it's just a really rough day for the Outlawz that are still alive, and it's going to be a rough time. So I would say keep Edie in your prayers. A blessing for me is because I didn't even know Edie had a YouTube channel, but I found it after, you know, hearing the news about Napoleon's passing and just going through back channels. I was able to come across Idi Amin's channel, and I was able to say, you know what, let me sub it up, you know, because you want to, you know, see what these guys are doing, what they're talking about. And this is just a rough day, y'all. This is just a rough time. This is just a rough one, you know. So before we go, before we get up out of here, first of all, even though it's a tough video to say so, happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Studio albums. Let's look real quick at the studio albums. Studio albums. Obviously, they only did one with Tupac, 1999. Posthumous release by Outlawz and Tupac. And that was a damn good album. I still listen to that album and songs from it today. Still I Rise in 1999. But you look at Ride With Us or Collide With Us, very underrated hip-hop project. Very underrated. Novocaine, still a very underrated second album. They followed up a year later. Never Surrender. I don't say I could recall that one. But Outlaw for Life 2005 I love that album. I played the album a lot. You know, I was in the hood then. You know, I was definitely in the trenches. I knocked that album a lot. I've been a fan of this band for a long time, so I'm very familiar with Young Noble solo work. Very, very familiar with solo work and the group work. Perfect Time is a good album, really good album. We won in the Streets LP. I don't really remember that. Living Legends was pretty good. Last Ones Left was also good. One Nation was very underrated. So most of their albums was very underrated to good. But if you listen to people who, if you expected them to be, because they were like a descendant of Tupac, to be like greatest pop, then you went into it wrong. But if you went into it just to hear some realism, some real raps, some good stories, some, hard hitting, hard tugging, music, then it was there. It was for you. Nobody ever said that they were supposed to be on the level of Tupac. I never looked at them to be on his level. I looked at them for individuality. You're not supposed to be exactly like, the leader of your group. You St. Lunatics. Everybody ain't supposed to sound like Nelly. Dust, when you look at the Murphy Lee, Ali, people sound different in the crew, the Ghetto Boys. Willie D ain't supposed to sound like Scarface. Bushwick Bill ain't supposed to sound like Scarface. Everybody's supposed to be having their own individual style that they bring to the group. And now we don't really see groups in hip hop because everybody is the same. Why would we need to see a group if everybody gonna sound the same? If Yachty, Lil Baby, Roddy Rich, everybody gonna sound similar in some regards, then why even have them be a group? So yeah, they brought, their individuality to the table. And just shout out to Edie Don, because he, it's a lot on him. They've been business partners, rap brothers for 30 years. And I know it gotta hit. It gotta hit them real hard because they held this Outlawz thing down by themselves, y'all. Like, y'all feel me? Like, at one point, that's what it was. It was Edie and Young Noble. And I think the reason why, I do talk about movies, but I love music and movies both equally. And the reason why I'm like on here is because, I can't lie to y'all. A lot of Young Noble's music, it hit me. Now I played a little bit of my favorite Young Noble song, but I just felt inclined to talk about this simply because, I listened to him. I listened to him individually. I listened to him in the group. And this type of end for a man like Noble was just tough. Like, this is a guy that beat a heart attack. This is a guy that's had his ups and downs, battles with mental health struggles and growing up, in a tough situation, coming through, just beating the odds. And for him to be gone like this, it's just a tough pill to swallow, because you just wish everybody's story ends, but you just wish it somehow would have had a better ending than it did. He got multiple collaboration albums. He got a collaboration album with Crazy Bone. He had one with Deuce Deuce, a couple with Deuce Deuce actually. One with Hussein Fatal, countless ones with Edie Amin. It's just tough, just tough, y'all. So yeah, the news is spreading everywhere. They saying that Noble, he passed away. Atlanta, Georgia, July 4th, 2025. He joined the Outlawz in 1996, early in 96. And he was the last member to be added to the group by Tupac himself before the late rapper's death in September 1996. So, when Noble got in, he just thought, hey, I'm finna get in, I'm finna rap, I'm around a real clique, we finna make money, we got the talent, we got the skills, I'm around the greatest rapper ever. I said greatest rapper, that's my goat. Some people gotta go. I love Nas. I love Nas. Nas is incredible. Kendrick is incredible. Ice Cube is incredible. Three Stacks is incredible. Biggie is incredible. But for me personally, it's Tupac. Some days I go back and forth with Tupac and Nas. I got others in there. But Yeah, this one's tough, y'all. They say it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Man, that's tough, man. That's tough. Cause you know how I can tell y'all probably like, yeah, it is tough. But you know what makes it even worse? I'm somebody I deal with mental struggles, y'all. I deal with it myself. And one time I was in that mindset. I was in that mode thinking like I just didn't want to go. It was like 2015. I didn't want to go on. I didn't want to do it no more. And I kept looking at this hook. Y'all want me to share the story with y'all? Y'all hit a one in the chat. Y'all want me to keep going with the story. Hit that one. Look. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. Because I know y'all listening. Y'all ain't gotta talk. Y'all ain't gotta even hit one. But look, I was looking at a hook in my wall, right? It was a hook on the wall, you know, and I knew I had like a way of being able to like I don't want to say it and get the video knocked down, but I knew I could like rig it where I could like finish myself off. Y'all know if y'all see a hook, y'all know what happened to Robin Williams, and I was like I just don't want to go on, and I was like I just don't want to. But before I could even go through with it, I just started thinking about who I would hurt. And I couldn't come up with too many people, but I consider my son a lot, a whole lot, you know. And I considered, my mom, no. And I never went through with it, but I wanted to go through with it. But I kept at the forefront. That's why I say if you in this type of situation and you got kids and you don't want to be around no more, you just want to, you just want to, you don't want to be here, you better think about your kids long and hard. You better really think about them. That might be your only reason for still kicking it on this earth, still living on this earth, but you better consider that deeply, and I'm not here to poo-poo on Noble. This ain't about Noble. This for the people that's here. That's here because too many people be doing this to themselves. I took it hard with Robin Williams. I took it hard. And still, because he's one of my favorite comedians. And I still take it hard. And I hate that this went down with Noble. And I hate that went down with Bobby Christina. Because you always feel like if I would have knew that person, maybe I could have helped that person. And it's also tough because sometimes your kids they might not be accessible to you. They might be young, they might be older, they might not always be there for you, they might not always call you. But you got to think about who might need you and who loves you. And it's just tough, because I think for me, I rather had not known how he went, but they put in here the article how he left, this world, and we got so many rappers that's just going to gun violence and drugs. You don't often hear about rappers taking themselves out like that. I heard recently his mom had passed. He had been going through some mental illnesses. He had, sent out, like a diss record against Nas. Nas is one of the GOATs, so I don't know where his headspace was. But none of it matters because, he was a human. He was a good man, a family man. He did have kids, and my heart just goes out to Edie, to his family, his living family, his sons or his daughters, all of them. No disrespect, but I think that mental illness is something that maybe I always wanted to talk more about. And so it might be something I need to talk more about. But going back to my story, and I'm gonna have to do a separate live or a video on this maybe. Um, I didn't do anything to myself that night, but I wanted to. I wanted to just, I don't want to be here no more. It was 2015. It could have been 2016, but I believe it was 2015. And the next day, y'all know what happened? The next day after, I didn't do anything to myself, and I was still
amongst the living. I went to work. I went to work and I found out the very next day my best friend on that job, because we was fantastic friends. We were so close at the job. We was, so close. A little bit so much outside of work. We still was somewhat close, but at the workplace we had so much in common, and even to a degree a little bit outside. But they took themselves out that morning I came in. They took themselves out that night prior, and I was hurt. I had to continue to work. I didn't want to be there at work. We had to push and power our way through. Life as an adult is tough. You can't just throw your pom poms up and walk away when bad things happen to people around you. But that was tough and that was hard. And they were offering counseling and everything like that. That was a difficult moment because I could have been gone too. And they could have been talking about two former coworkers. You know how hard it got to be for you to do that? It's not easy to come to the conclusion that the only conclusion left for you to do is to eliminate yourself. And we out here battling in these hard times and we fighting demons. I'm getting way off track. I'm getting way off track. I'm getting off track. But I just want to say, RIP Young Noble. I just want to say, if you out there, anyone in the world watching this on playback or right now, don't hesitate to talk to somebody. Even if you just pick up your phone and you text help now to the appropriate numbers, or if you just make the call on the phone and tell somebody you're in distress, don't be in fear. Don't be scared of them documenting what you're going through, because your life is very important. And you best believe that if something happens to you, people are going to pretend like, it is what it is. People are going to pretend like, they tried everything or they didn't see it coming or they saw it coming. It's tough, y'all. It's really, really tough. But I will tell y'all that this is just tough news. Tough news to swallow. We all must go. But you didn't expect to hear this. But that's going to be the conclusion of the video. That's going to conclude the video. I do want to tell you guys that I appreciate y'all for coming out. Salute to everybody that came through the chat. And, we got to try to get a little bit more active on this channel. But I'm going to get up out of here. Happy 4th to everybody. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Again, RIP Rufus Young Noble Cooper. And it's very unfortunate news. So check out the replay as we get ready to end this live.